Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. This is Kushalmehra. Another monologue. This month has been good for monologues. Done a lot more monologues. I think something happens to me when I come to India. I tend to do a lot more monologues. And as I was thinking about it, how do I get more time for monologues when I'm in India? Is I guess because I'm not traveling a lot when I'm in India. Like, just to give you guys a perspective of how much I traveled when I was in Canada for the last 5 odd months, was I drove 35,000 kilometers, give or take. And I must have gone, like, I have gone to San Francisco, Surrey, Langley, uh, Vancouver. Obviously, those were the three cities when I had gone to Vancouver. So I ended up going there. Um, Obviously, Greater Toronto region is not even counted, but I went all the way to Ottawa and many other areas ahead. In America, I'd gone to the tri-state area like New York, New Jersey, Washington D.C., all of that, Florida. So many places that I was traveling, and in a lot of cases, I used to fly. Sometimes I used to drive. So it was kind of chaotic, and I'm not even kidding. Like, I remember when we had the Hindu Heritage Festival celebration on the first, and I was so tired and I was so sick. Like, I don't even remember the last time I puked. I was so sick that I remember the day after Sham came. I picked up Sham in the night, dropped him in the hotel, then went to meet him in the morning. I was feeling so bad, like physically. I had to request Sham. I checked. I sat in a room. I told him, "तू मेरे लिए जाके नाश्ता लेके आ." And poor guy, he even went, got breakfast for me, and then I just crashed. And I was so tired mentally and physically. And that's when I realized, oh my God, what have I done to myself? I am not going to do anything. And since I've come here, I've only gone to Delhi once, which is very low by my standards. So the traveling has been very little, but I obviously got fever over here too, and a little bit of a flu, but that is also because of the change of weather, I guess. And I don't think so it's pollution related. It's just I caught it from one of my family members, I guess. And uh, and 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 I just realized that's why when I was in Canada, and also I was writing the book, and because I usually tend to do that, like the last 2 summers have, I tend to spend my book time in Canada, where it's just I just have more focus then. And now I think for the next 6 months, I think I'll be doing a lot more monologues now. And because I can think more freely now, I have more spare time. And now is going to be phase where I can kind of experiment more with the content also. Anyway, so today's monologue is titled for a very specific purpose, and I'll give you the background of why this monologue comes. A lot of this actually comes from a lot of emails and messages that I get. People often reach out to me that, a lot of people, especially you, keep saying that, you should be very careful about what you consume, about what you watch and what you read. So how do you do it, and how does one go about consuming content? And it sounded like, I was like, why would I have to? But honestly, like, this is such a tough question to answer. Like, how does one consume content? Sounds so easy, but if you look at it, if you want to create a very rational content consumption strategy for yourself, which is peculiar to you, because it has to be very specific to your tastes and your preferences, and then in that, as per your tastes and preferences, we are talking about a scenario where you want to have a balanced point of view, where you get multiple sides of a issue. And so two three things where I would say is that this question primarily stems only from the socio-political realm, where you want to have a more balanced view. in the socio-political realm, because the reality is that these days, whether it's honestly mainstream media, whether it's social media, because a lot of mainstream media content is also being pushed on social media, and they also use social media to push their content to you. Then there are these independent content creators, with like, whether it's me and many others out there, we are also pushing our content. And this attention economy, and now with American big tech, primarily American big tech, basically governing the content landscape of the world, where they are the global policeman as far as the digital world is concerned. um, I was like, what are the baseline realities? Maybe we should start there. So today the baseline reality is this, and I'm sharing this as a content creator who knows very well that I actually am not following those norms, which is why my follower count and my subscriber count is where it is. um, if you want to run a successful social media company today as a content creator, these are some of the requirements that are there. Otherwise you just can't do it. I'm just being very honest with you. There is no model other than that. Anybody who tells you there is another model is lying, which is why I never recommend my model to anyone, is because I have some level of financial security and I can do it. And for me, like, if I don't do it, I may not be very comfortable with my own self. So if you are trying to build a career, do not listen to me. But because these days the baseline requirement for any social media success is you have to have a very very bhadkila title, whether it's a newspaper article, whether it's a social media post. uh, the emphasis always is on negative verbs. It's just a fact. No social media company wants you to believe that they are doing this, but this is a tacit requirement of every social media company, whether it's X, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram. It's just that's the requirement in the realm of politics. Because see, I'm assuming all of you are concerned about political news consumption, nothing else. आप मेरे से पॉप कल्चर न्यूज कंजम्पशन के लिए तो आए नहीं हो सुनने. So we are only sticking to the realm of politics, and this is a baseline requirement. Thumbnails have to be standing out of a particular kind, or this or that. And beyond that, what your content is not even the second concern. It is like the third or fourth concern. Yes, in that also your production quality has to be good, the way things pop up have to be good, but actually what you write, what you present, what are your facts, how many references you show, none of that matters. Literally, none of that matters. That is all not even secondary, probably a tertiary byproduct. All you are getting today in the name of content is something bhadkila that will be click worthy. That's the only criteria, and that's how this game is being played. Secondly, what is happening is now we are in this incessant and I will take your super chats, by the way, because I see someone Chirag Srinath has just asked. I'll take those later on. I apologize. I'm aware of them. They pop up in a separate window, so not a problem at all. But this is the cycle in which every content creator is actually stuck. So let's say hypothetically the current trend, I don't know what is trending right now. Okay, what's political trending? There is Udupi. And so politics में इस समय क्या ट्रेंड हो रहा है ट्विटर पे in like some Udupi में there is Gita recitation that is trending right now you have to talk about that, नहीं तो आपका कुछ नहीं होगा. It's actually very depressing कि आप अगर इसके बारे में बात करोगे तो ये आएगा, नहीं तो कुछ नहीं आएगा. एंटरटेनमेंट वाले हो तो एंटरटेनमेंट में देखो, पॉलिटिकल फिगर्स में इमरान खान इज ट्रेंडिंग. Then there is dead economy that is trending. So if you're a Congress person, like dead economy likho to wo ho jayega. But this is genuinely like this is the standard. So So what do content creators do? Like the same is like what, even in YouTube, right? They have this thing where they show you, if you use this hashtag, this has a higher tendency, this has a lower tendency. They give all this data to content creators. And and this is how you know that you're always in this cycle. You just don't come out of that cycle. आपको पता है कि ये हैशटैग ट्रेंड हो रहा है, ये टॉपिक ट्रेंड हो रहा है. Sometimes it's social media that sets the topic and the mainstream media picks it up. Sometimes it's the mainstream media that sets the topic and the social media is picking it up. It's basically, both are feeding off each other now. And so you are just in a 24 to 36 to 48 hour cycle, जिसमें हर रोज आपको essentially वही मिलता है, which is decided sometimes by some person, sometimes like till the level of vahiyatpana that happens is that, I mean, I don't know how many of you remember last year that stupid train journey that I had. All I did was just type something like "Meri train journey ye hui," and that was trending for a while. So मतलब कुछ भी हो जाता है ट्रेंड. देखिए कोई चीज थी ट्रेंड होने के लिए, मगर वो भी हो गई. तो ये मतलब कुछ समझ के बाहर होती हैं कई चीजें. क्या हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है, इट इज रिडिकुलस. और ऐसे में यू सी, आई डोंट इवन लाइक बियॉन्ड अ पॉइंट कंज्यूमर कितना करेगा. सो यू ओपन अप योर फोन, you see, you scroll, naturally what is trending, that is going to be pushed the most on your scale. And then, somewhere randomly you will see a person like me who I don't even know how to classify myself. You can probably classify me now as one of those rational YouTubers, along with a few others who try to break the cycle, like break the trend cycle or get out of that bubble and try to say nahi ye nahi karunga main, let's talk about this. And then you're like, अरे मगर तुम बोल रहे हो ना, तो फिर tell me how to do it consistently. And this is me trying to help you sift through this bullshit. And I will only tell you what I did to sift through this bullshit. No guarantee that it's going to work for you as a content consumer. So take it with a giant grain of salt. Being मतलब मैं आपको एकदम ऑनेस्ट बात बता रहा हूँ. आई एम ओनली शेयरिंग हाउ आई कंज्यूम कंटेंट टुडे. And you might see ये क्या बात हुई इतनी बेवकूफ. And honestly, if you find it useless, you can tune right off right now. I completely understand, but I can only tell you what I do as a consumer of content to try to understand what the hell is happening, and then get information out of that and present it to you. Because other than that, I don't know any other way. There is no um, you know there is no larger way of understanding this. So this is what I do about any subject. I have a basic principle when it comes to most times. Another caveat, it's not like I have 100% success rate in that. Second, I myself don't follow it all the time. Sometimes I break the code. But here are a few rules that I have when it comes to me consuming something and then reacting on that something. So what I tend to do usually is, whenever something is trending, my uh, my first reaction, like I have trained my brain towards it, is I don't want to talk about it. That is my first reaction. And let me explain why. Most information that comes to you in the first 24 hours of a story breaking, I repeat, most information that comes to you in the first 24 hours of the news breaking, in my experience, as a person who I think reads more than an average human being, is it is very superficial. It is all based on innuendo, and it has not been verified on the ground. Which is why you, as a consumer of news, should always wait till more information comes out. You should wait before you formulate any major opinion and share it with the world. share it. Now here's the catch. अभी आप बोलोगे कि फिर ये कंटेंट कैसे बनाए हम, एंड ऑनेस्टली यार इट इज crazy because content creator के लिए यही विडंबना है. Like imagine you being a content creator where your dal roti runs on that 48-hour cycle, and here I am telling you as a potential person who maybe is eventually thinking of becoming a content creator that when the dal roti cycle is done, then you should actually formulate a view and create a video. But honestly, if you want good information, you have to wait for that 48-hour news cycle to finish, because usually in 48 to 72 hours, when media goes ahead and looks at a new obsession, very few news segments go for a whole week or 2 weeks. Very few news segments. Like it has to be a really bad low news period for one thing to go on for a week. I mean, usually this is associated with war hysteria and stuff like that, where a lot of attention is there. एंड आई थिंक वो तो समय रायना रणवीर अलाहाबादिया कंट्रोवर्सी, उनका तो बैड लक ही खराब था, मैं जो वो तो 2 हफ्ता चल गई थी, वो बेचारे ऐसे इसके लिए वो पेले गए मेरे हिसाब से, वो उसके आफ्टर इफेक्ट्स इतने थे. बट इफ यू वेट यूजुअली फॉर दिस पीरियड, राइट, जो खाना पीना होता है वो खत्म हो जाता है, एंड देन व्हाट यू डू इज वंस, वो जिसको बोलते हैं ना, सब इधर उधर हो गया, जो हिलने थे हो गए, जो सामान गिरना था गिर गया, उसके बाद यू स्लोली स्टार्ट पिकिंग थिंग्स अप वन बाय वन. And then you start picking things up one by one, and you start checking each and every one of them, and then you formulate your opinion based on that. And that's when you actually say with a little bit of certainty that हाँ भाई मेरे को कुछ समझ पड़ा. This is the first step. Never consume anything for the first 24 to 36 hours. तो पक्का आप consume ही मत करो. This is my opinion. Wait. Second is always consume polar opposite news, even if you don't like their ideology. So let's say if you are a left of center person, you should subscribe to Swarajya. If you believe in healthy democracies, you should subscribe to opposing ideologies, and you should make it sure that they remain, so that there is always a balance. I tend to read a lot of The Wire, Scroll, Print. I actually read them copiously. मैं हमेशा पढ़ता हूँ उनको. Every day मैं देखता हूँ लोग क्या बोल रहे हैं. Because what if the side that I support is full of shit, and there have been umpteen occasions where there have been full of shit, and Wire and all of them are usually full of shit most of the time themselves, but I still want them to exist, and I want to consume them. Also, get into the habit of reading at least one newspaper, preferably one regional language, whatever your regional language is. I don't know what, like in my case, I randomly scroll Hindi language op-eds, and I read English language newspapers. That's my habit. I don't know how to consume content in regional languages. I can only consume Marathi and Hindi. These are my limitations. I cannot read Punjabi script, so I don't consume Punjabi digital like written content. But yes, I now just say I have this habit of following the developments in Punjab and Canada simultaneously. So I tend to follow a lot of Punjabi YouTube channels too now. Like I regularly see what's happening, like the pulse of Punjab. What are Punjabi YouTubers talking about? What are Punjabi journalists talking about? And then you don't even need to follow them. Like I have this list that I just go to the handle and I read whatever I want to read they have written, and then I move on. That is second. Like you should have a list of people whom you follow. You liking them is not the criteria. You reading them is the criteria. I repeat, do not confuse personal likes and dislikes with any of this. You don't have to like the person, but you should consume what they are saying. You should always challenge yourself and try to consume more reportage, less opinion. See, eventually what happens is, right, when you are a smart reader, and your first principles are clear and you are rational enough, I think you will sift through the bullshit and formulate a smart opinion overall. I say this with a lot of pride, and I have noticed this in our monthly AMAs. Whenever members come, I have noticed that at least the Charvak podcast Speak With Me tier members are what I consider an average high IQ person, because the kind of questions I get asked, like yesterday was a AMA, and I'm always fascinated that all my members tend to ask such intelligent questions that it's such a challenge sometimes that even at times even I get taken aback. I was like, ये क्या साला पूछ लिया, अब ये सोचना पड़ेगा इसके ऊपर. And it's actually amazing. So I believe that, at least for me, like the baseline, if you are a member of my podcast, I believe you have achieved that baseline level of intelligence. And I think you don't need to read a lot of op-eds per se. What you need is more information. The more information you will have, um, I think that way you will be more informed about what is the reality, and then you can go wherever you want to go. Now here's the issue. In, in India, when it comes to journalism, uh, oftentimes what goes off as a critique of the government is also as biased as what goes off as a presentation of the achievement of the government. So that you know that that caveat has to be applicable on both occasions, when you're consuming a critique of the government or you're consuming a government's achievement explainer. If you have that healthy caveat in both occasions in your brain, like it should be a, I don't know how to explain, like it's a default mechanism in my brain. Like sometimes you read an article, I was like, यार इतना तो मोदी जी भी खुद मोदी जी से प्यार नहीं करते होंगे जितना ये बंदे ने मोदी जी से प्यार कर लिया है एक आर्टिकल में. या you read some critique of the government, and your brain is like, भाई इतनी नफरत, यार इतनी नेगेटिविटी लेके कैसे जीते हो. It is insane. Like ऐसी नेगेटिविटी, यार ऐसी नेगेटिविटी तो नहीं होनी चाहिए ना. आप ऑब्जेक्टिविटी तो नहीं खो ना. That's like it's crazy. ये भी नहीं होना चाहिए. So I hope you understand. Like, so what did I say? The first rule was wait. Have some patience when you're consuming content. To have a list of people you like to follow depending on the subject. Like in defense, you should always have a variety of people you like to follow. I'm not going to tell you who you're supposed to follow, whether on foreign policy, whether on defense, whether on economics, whether on any subject, like on agricultural policy. Depends. Now the third most important thing in terms of content consumption is, and again the caveat here being that we are only talking about political content consumption. I mean I love stand up comedy, so our day is not कि basically मैं सुबह से शाम तक सिर्फ political content consume करता रहूंगा और boring life जीऊंगा. No, I mean I completely understand. We are consuming like OTT. मतलब it's just that, let's say you have 3 hour window of content consumption, and in that half an hour is meant for politics and 2.5 hours is meant for other entertainment. I'm just hypothetical. So I'm only talking about that half an hour. I'm not talking about the rest of the day. So before somebody thinks कि I am suggesting कि तुम बंद कर दो सालों, सिर्फ पॉलिटिक्स को ही कंज्यूम करते रहो. नहीं भैया, ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोल रहा मैं आपको. So please don't misunderstand anything. So now we go back to where I was. Where was I? साला मैं ही मेरा train of thought भूल गया. क्या था मेरी third thing? जल्दी बताओ मुझे, मैं खुद ही भूल गया. What was I talking about? Oh shit, this is when you don't have notes and you do everything off the cuff. क्या था भाई, मैं क्या बोल रहा था, मैं ही भूल गया यार. जल्दी बताओ लाइव स्क्रीन पे. मैं ही भूल गया. जल्दी बोलो. क्या बोल रहा था मैं? Ayla, I've become so old. Oh yeah, politics. Huh. So, So I was talking about only the 30 minutes that we are talking about. In the 30 minutes that you're talking about, which is related to politics or anything, can you at least make sure that you you, you man, how do I say this? Like, which is the exact word I'm looking at? Can you annoy yourself? Like, can you dial your content consumption slightly towards something that creates annoyance for you? You see what I'm saying? Things you don't like to hear. It doesn't mean they are true. It doesn't mean they're true, but it should be based on a, a system, an internal system, that at least like in my case, I have created that internal system where I wait for 36 to 48 hours. I have a list of people that I follow. And then out of that, I tend to consume things at the third step that creates some level of annoyance for me. Annoyance in the form of like, yeah, bol raha hai, kind of a reaction. But then it tends to drive me to go and uh, kind of deep dive into primary data. And then I start digging. अच्छा ये बोल रहा है, क्या बोल रहा है, जरा देखे तो सही. So this is the major three major uh, uh, baselines that you do. Now, the one most important thing that I have come across when it comes to content consumption, where I feel most people are struggling, is that I think attention spans are a giant problem. And I think that is leading to bad content consumption habits. I'm going to recommend you to do something that you will hate me for. And this is my last recommendation: cut down on 60-second content. You want to be a good content consumer, you cannot be reliant on 60-second videos. 60-second videos are literally like charas. First of all, how many of you, be honest with me, who are there right now in this live stream? Some of you are, or most of you are right now on X. Some of you are on YouTube right now. How many of you consume 60-second content as 80% of your content? Be honest with me. Be honest with me. I'll be honest with you. Not even 5% of my content consumption is 60 seconds. I only consume long form content. And by long form, I mean minimum 8-minute clip to a 3-hour video. So I'm sharing my content consumption with you. So what is your level? I want to know how do you guys consume things? So you guys are, so if you're on YouTube, you're on YouTube. Like on YouTube, are you basically doing 60 seconds? That's all you're doing. So okay, this is heartening. A lot of you are saying that no, most of you are actually into long form content. Oh, okay. So 60 seconds only comedy shots, not for politics. That is also, that is rational, because comedy में वो joke 60 seconds में package हो सकता है. Hmm. So cool. It's actually very heartening that a lot of you are long form consumers. Good. So here's my thing. What I have noticed is that every time I've met people who tend to have these unnecessary opinions, Being very honest, listen, as a mildly known content creator who tends to do talks and meet a lot of people, I'm not like a very popular Bollywood actor or a stand-up comic, but I'm mildly known. And wherever I go for talks, in fact, I say no to 95% of talk invites, which is why I at least in India मैं किधर नहीं जाता. कनाडा में मैं फिर भी चले जाता हूँ, मगर मुझे ज्यादातर बुलाया जाता है, मैं जाता भी नहीं हूँ. मगर मैं जब भी जाता हूँ, उसके बाद भी जब मैं लोगों को मिलता हूँ, this is my tendency. People who tend to be in this 60-second consumption addiction cycle generally are the ones who ask me the stupidest questions. Most of the questions that these people who consume this 60-second cycle are, like very emotional. They are asking very emotional questions. It is laced with an appeal to emotion fallacy. Like, हर चीज में ये बच्चा मर गया, आपको कैसा लग रहा है? अरे भाई, वो बच्चा मर गया, बुरा ही लगेगा ना, मगर तू उससे पूरे दुनिया के बारे में कंक्लूजन क्यों ड्रॉ कर रहा है? And I feel that people who are doing basically doing this, yeah, you, they are slowly being trained to lose their ability to think rationally, because rational thinking, in my view, again, you guys can disagree with me, but I feel rational thinking's first requirement is time. You need time to build an argument. You need time to think about something, ponder about it, build a question around it. This is my view. Like, I don't know how many of you do this. I have a habit, like, even if I am in a meeting, right? So I will take my S Pen out, and I'll listen to what the other person is saying, and I'll start writing. And I'll tell them, please don't feel offended. Like, I'm actually taking notes of what you're saying. If it's an important meeting with like a policy person or something, like someone senior, political or not political, I have a habit of taking notes. Many times, a lot of you worry, ये साला इधर क्या देखता है? I'm looking at the live chat when I'm talking to, because I do live stream, so I like to read what the person is talking about, watching me right now. Two, I also have a small internal, WhatsApp web U section. You know how you can send yourself a so every time I'm doing a monologue or a live stream or anything, whatever my guest says, like I may forget what they've said. So in the U section, I just tend to type. You'll see me typing something at times, and मैं कुछ आपसे तो बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. But what I do is I tend to type things that say, if I'm talking to a guest and that guest has said a very specific point that I want to circle back to later on. So I just type it out. I have this habit. What I have realized is people who don't have this habit, I don't know how they can ask intelligent questions, or how are they understanding anything. 60-second news clips and 60-second explainers are designed to make you dumb. If your entire understanding of a subject is scrolling through 100,000 60-second clips, I'm sorry, you are not good at it. And no matter what people say, what people try to convince you by giving you all sorts of bullshit in the form of 60-second clips, मैं आपको गारंटी दे रहा हूं, मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूं, मैं आपको गारंटी दे रहा हूं, आपको गधा बनाया जा रहा है. If you want to be a good content consumer, I repeat, okay, Hero of the Hell has gifted memberships of the Cārvāka podcast. जो लेना चाहते हैं ले ले. I repeat, if you are a serious consumer of content, and or you want to become a serious consumer of content, you have to get out of 60-second clips. You have to. I don't even know what my own channel 60-second clips are. I am dead serious. मैं कभी नहीं देखी है मेरी 60-second clips. I don't even know what my editor is putting out there. I don't know. I don't watch my own content. अभी मेरा एडिटर बोलेगा साले मेरी क्यों मार रहा है. मैं तेरी नहीं मार रहा हूं भाई. But the fact is that if you want to be a smart content consumer, 60-second clips cannot be more than 10 to 15% of your consumption landscape. I understand sometimes you need yeah, you need some like immediate bits, but no, boss, no. You want to formulate an opinion of some level of seriousness, you have to consume more serious content. You have to spend more time. Nothing comes for free, boss. You have to spend some time. You have to read. And if you can't, because your natural follow up will be मैं तो 60 सेकंड के ऊपर जा ही नहीं पाता हूँ, ये पेशेंस कहाँ से डेवलप करूँ. आई थिंक किताब पढ़ना शुरू करो या न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना शुरू करो. आई थिंक रीडिंग विल, वो एक रीडिंग की क्या होती है, वो आपको एक जगह पे बैठ के मजबूर करती है सोचने में. एंड इनिशियली आप नहीं करोगे, आप स्ट्रगल करोगे. I know you'll struggle, but please don't give up. Don't give in. Keep at it. It is like, when you start walking, and then you lose weight, then you gain weight again, then you lose weight. Don't get perturbed. Keep at it. Keep trying to read. And eventually you'll get out of, you'll become 50% long form, 50% 60 seconds. Then it will keep on reducing. I'm not saying make it zero, but you will never understand any concept. Boss, if you are going for an event or a talk where you're supposed to be given gyan, and you're not writing anything that the person is saying, like you don't have a note, that means you're not learning anything, because you know you're not forcing your brain to engage with what the thoughts of the speaker that you're gone to listen to. एक कुछ तो लिखना चाहिए, कुछ करना चाहिए, कुछ सोचना चाहिए. तो ये रील्स से बाहर निकलो बॉस. रील्स is not, like, if you want to have like any sort of informed opinion, 60 seconds are the worst thing. And I have come to this conclusion after 20 years of me trying to be a serious content consumer. 60-second clips, like, मेरे को तो समझ में ही नहीं आता क्या होता है उसमें. मेरे को तो ये खत्म हो गया है. मुझे ऐसा लगता है, अरे वापस मेरे को अपनी अंगूठा हिलाना पड़ेगा. मुझे तो वो अंगूठा हिलाना का आलस आता है. मतलब ये लोग कैसे करते हैं, पूरा टाइम ऐसा हाँ करते रहते. पता नहीं क्या है ये. आई जस्ट डोंट गेट इट. आई डोंट गेट हाउ पीपल एंजॉय दैट. आई हेट इट. Yes, I also consume 60-second clips once in a while, but I find it very annoying. So this was my recommendation on how to consume content. This is how I do. I don't watch reels. I try to consume content that makes me mentally agitated, healthy agitated level. That means I'm consuming things that challenge my beliefs. I wait for 48 hours before forming any opinions on anything in a news segment. And I have a list of people that I have curated over the years, whether it's in the form of authors, writers, journalists, public speakers, that it's not even necessary that I follow all of them on X, but I read them on X. Like, I'll go and read them. Similarly on YouTube, on any other form. So that's what I do. This is how I consume content. And in today's world where everything is driven by a negativity bias hack, everything is trying to push you into things that are not needed or are not required. uh, you know, this is what I've done. And I think I may not be perfect, but I'm a fairly rational human being. And as far as my content habits are concerned, I'm very, very balanced in my content habits. And I may not have a lot of people who like me, but I have a lot of people who respect me, and I know that, and that is something I can live very comfortably with. At least people know कि हाँ, हम इसकी बातों से सहमत नहीं होंगे क्योंकि ये थोड़ा कड़वी बातें कर जाता है, बट जो भी है इसके मन में कोई खोट नहीं है। जो बोल रहा है, ही इज कमिंग फ्रॉम अ प्लेस ऑफ गुड इंटेंशंस, which is why I guess, beyond a point, um, even during those moral outrages, I have been part of 3 4 moral outrages about me, starting from Armin Nawabi to the latest one being my when I had said, Umar Khalid and that other muppet, क्या नाम था उसका वो, जिसने वो चिकन स्नैक का वो वाहियात कमेंट मारा था, व्हेन आई हैड सेड कि इनको या तो जेल करो या तो इनका ट्रायल शुरू करो, तो तभी बहुत बड़ी आउटरीच हुई थी। मुझे मुझे इतनी हंसी आ रही थी, मैं तो कनाडा में बैठ के मस्त में एंजॉय कर, मैं एक्चुअली तभी किधर था मैं कि कोई अमेरिकन सिटी में था मैं शायद तभी। तभी हाँ, शर्जील इमाम, हाँ। तो मेरे को बहुत हंसी आई थी, मगर लाइक आई स्टिल स्टिक टू, देख लो मैंने अभी तक वो कोई भी ट्वीट डिलीट नहीं, तो अभी अभी भी मैं उधर ही हूँ, उधर ही रहूंगा। एंड आई सिंसियरली होप and I seriously appeal to all of you that I may not have highest subscriber count on social media, but I take a lot of pride in what I do on this platform. I work really hard on this platform. All the research that is done and presented to you over here is only done by me. I have no research assistant. Zero. कोई research assistant नहीं है। मैं जो करता हूँ खुद के बलबूते पे करता हूँ। जिस दिन तक कर पा रहा हूँ कर पा रहा हूँ, जिस दिन बंद कर दूंगा, नहीं होगा तो बंद कर दूंगा। I cannot rely on somebody else's research to come on a teleprompter telling me what I'm supposed to say in front of a camera. I just won't do that. I will not do that. I have built something unique. I'm very proud of it. I worked damn hard for it. And I want to thank all the people who have supported me over the years by becoming a member. It is only that. It is only that, nothing else. I don't do ad reads, nothing. मैं कुछ नहीं करता. I just rely on small monthly donations. Here, YouTube पे, Patreon पे. You can actually even become, now I've started this subscription option on X also. So if you want, you can even subscribe on Twitter. वहां पे भी कर सकते हो. Twitter, Patreon, जिधर करना है कर लो. This is the model. I believe in this model. You pay me a monthly amount or a one time amount on UPI or Interac Canada, wherever, and I create content, and that's it. I don't follow the clickbait cycle. I don't do anything. I do whatever I want to do. But the one guarantee you get is at least I am not faking it. I am being authentic. I could be wrong, but it is all out of honest mistakes. No dishonesty. That's what I am doing. And now we'll take your questions and then we will do Tata bye bye. Just curious though, why do rich people countries more often turn socialistic? After getting rich, they want to entrench the same bad behavior that led them to being poor. Hmm. But you're assuming that when they were not rich, they were not socialistic. Like, how are you basing this on? Are you trying to say that America was never into a redistribution economy model before becoming as rich it is today? I don't think so. I think social security programs have been there in America for a very long time. I just think America and the European union have not stopped being mm, capitalistic. So it's actually the other way around, in my opinion. I think you have it ulta. Like, look at corporate tax rates in the European Union even today, like in the Nordic nations, they have very low corporate tax rates. So that's the key. So I think you have it ulta. Yeah, I mean, if you disagree with me, you can type now and we can have a back and forth. But I think we are always socialists in some way or the other. We have empathy. Like, just think about it. Most of human history was religious societies. Religion is the most socialist idea ever. The richest of richest religious societies were also socialist. So socialism तो हमारा baseline है. Hmm, I'm only interested in national security and defense manufacturing. All the reasonably intelligent content I read says BJP is a lot better at it. Is it biased? No, it's not. But it still doesn't mean, Kapil, and I know you're a member, it still doesn't mean you leave the habit of reading people who will create that irritation that you share with me in our meets of members. And here's why. Because what if one of them is right one day and you missed out? Because I know, because I interact with you, you take a lot of pride in national security and defense related subjects. What if you make that mistake one day and in a casual conversation misguide someone? So you should always have a very high standard for yourself. See, you will make mistakes. I have made so many mistakes. I make mistakes daily. But the point is that I I tend to be so hard on myself. So I'll give you an example. I fucked up so badly once. I set up a meeting with someone in Canada, and then I completely forgot I was supposed to be there at this time, this day, and I jumbled it up. But I must have apologized like 100 times to that person. And the reason is that I tend to be very hard on myself because I have a individual personal standard that I have set for myself, that I have to achieve that level of performance output, whether as a content creator or as a human being. And as long as I'm performing myself, my whole idea is that I'll make minimal mistakes. So when I make a mistake, I'm very hard on myself, very very hard. इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि मैं डिप्रेशन में चल जाता हूँ ना, मैं बड़ा खुश रहता हूँ, मस्त में सोता हूँ. मगर yes, you have to be hard on yourself. So I would still say that you are not being biased, but you should still try to read those irritating thoughts. Why do Indians, be it left or right, love moral policing so much and how to fix it? Look at what happened to Samay and Ranveer, a living relationship bill in UK. Indians love moral policing because I think in mm, on average, I think India is a very, you know, emotional society, very religious society. And दूसरा आई थिंक हमारे हमारे लोगों में अभी भी वो राइट्स कॉन्शियसनेस थोड़ी कम है. हम लोगों को राइट्स क्या है, प्रिविलेजेस क्या होती हैं, उसका अभी तक अंतर नहीं मालूम पड़ा है. एंड आई थिंक वी कंफ्यूज वन विद द अदर. एंड वी आर अ वेरी पंचायती सोसाइटी. दूसरे के घर में क्या हो रहा है ना, हमको बड़ा इंटरेस्ट होता है. तो उसके चक्कर में हम उंगल बहुत करते हैं, मगर उतने ही हम अकोमोडेटिंग भी हैं, प्लूरल भी हैं. तो हम अजीब अजीब विचित्र चीजों को एक्सेप्ट भी कर लेते हैं और नहीं भी करते हैं. So there are no good solutions, unfortunately. I'm a Nepali and I find it somewhat perplexing that most likely the old political parties will be re-elected even following the recent protests. I'm trying to understand the continued public support they enjoy. In your view, what steps can Nepal take to address this issue and strengthen its economy? Ooh, I don't understand Nepal enough to give you an answer. I have not studied Nepal enough to give you a very rational response on this. I think at scale, Nepal is too small, and and I think uh, I think Nepal maybe would benefit more if it was more economically integrated with India, in my view, to start with. Because A, there are cultural similarities. Anyways, we don't need visas to come to each other's country, right? Like, honestly, a Nepali is as good as an Indian, and vice versa. An Indian is as good as a Nepali. So एक तो मुझे ये समझ में नहीं आता है कि हमारे दो देश अलग क्यों हैं, क्योंकि हम लिटरली, बिफोर यू गेट कंफ्यूज, मैं कोई आपको इन्वेट नहीं करना चाहता हूँ भाई, रहो अपना कंट्री बन के रहो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट आई थिंक व्हाट Nepalis need to start pondering over is also how much of an economic integration do you have, uh, uh, how much of economic integration have you achieved with India? I think you should start asking this question, and whether your politicians have succeeded in that. And has your politician sucking up to the Chinese really done anything good for Nepal? I think that's where the answer lies. Because always remember, unlike the Chinese, we're not a monster that believes in gobbling you up, because an average Indian looks at Nepalis as their blood brothers and sisters. We don't look at you as someone else. We don't look at you as the other. We look at you as us. So, have we achieved that level of economic integration and social integration? And do you think that would have benefited us? Nepal can remain its own country. Maybe that is something you need to ponder over. Additionally, there are reports of an influx of illegal, undocumented migrants from Bangladesh. How should Nepal respond to this situation? Again, if you guys were really integrated with India, it would have been a much easier situation to handle, because then you would have had, Indian infrastructural might with you. So I guess the previous answer is correlated to this answer too. Again, don't misunderstand me. I don't want to wipe out Nepali identity. I'm actually very happy that Nepal has its own identity. But I believe there are ways of achieving more socio-economic integration between India and Nepal than we have right now. And I think your political class sucking up to the Chinese Communist Party have not achieved the results you guys were looking at. And maybe you guys need to dump the Chinese Communist Party once and for all. Rutuj, thank you for becoming a member. Winning number of matches does not mean it's the best team. If you try to look a bit more rationally, you'll realize that RCB is indeed the best team. भाई फिर आ गया तू. I only watch 60-second clips of Tucker Candice Owens. It's quite evident because all your comments and all your posts mm, clearly show that. If if the left has Yogendra Yadav, we have you. Wah. Hero of Hell has become a member. Thank you. Robert Plomin and others like him say biases are somewhat genetically determined, since gene says what environment you choose. What can we about it? Oh, you mean do about it? Listen, I actually have recommended these books multiple times. Um, why do smart people believe weird things, by Michael Shermer. Timothy Redman's book about political biases. क्या नाम था यार उसका यार? हम्म, क्या नाम था उसका, पॉलिटिकल ट्राइबलिज्म इन अमेरिका, वो, और वो स्काउट माइंडसेट जो जूलिया गलेफ की बुक है, ये 3 बुक्स पढ़ो। आई थिंक आपको काफी टूल्स मिल जाएंगे इसमें से. Mm, what I meant to say was Europe has now expanded their socialist policies with respect to welfare. So much of that now is becoming either defense or welfare, which I do not think is a good choice. Now, that's a very good point, and I actually agree with it. In fact, my, a very strong view that people find very uh, offensive at times, even in Canada, is that why I don't believe Canada is really a country in the classical sense is that I believe for someone to be really qualified as a country, A, you need like a proper military. मिलिट्री माइट के बगैर आप रियल में कुछ डिफेंड नहीं कर सकते. दूसरा, यू नीड अ डिसेंट इकोनॉमी. देयर कनाडा डज हैव इकोनॉमी, बट like if you are outsourcing your protection to someone else, are you really a country? Like beyond a point you should start asking questions to yourself. अगर आपकी प्रोटेक्शन अंकल सैम कर रहा है, तो आई थिंक वो नहीं हो सकता. सो I think somewhere you have to spend enough money on defense. And I think in that sense, you're right. But that is something like, America just had this kind of deal with all these other nations, and that's why they just chose that. Now, their politicians are wrong, I believe. I don't think that is the right way to do it. And I believe they are suffering because of it, which is why I'm glad India never took that step and India never made that mistake. So if this is your point, then I actually am very much on board with you. I don't get your dislike for RCB. Please explain it. अरे भाई, एक आईपीएल जीते हो, उसके बियॉन्ड क्या किया है? बाकी आपका फैन बेस बड़ा अच्छा है. आई विश यू गाइस वेल. बाकी यार, इतना भी कोई आपने अचीव थोड़ी ना किया यार. जैसे चेन्नई ने किया है, मुंबई ने किया है, कोलकाता ने किया है. उन्होंने ज्यादा किया आप लोग से अचीव. But doesn't mean I dislike RCB. I just like to troll RCB fans. They are the easiest to troll. Is the Modi government doing something about police to citizen ratio in India? देखो यार, अभी आप बुरा नहीं मनाना. पुलिस हायरिंग एक स्टेट सब्जेक्ट है. मोदी गवर्नमेंट नहीं हायर कर सकती. वो तो सिर्फ पैरामिलिट्री और वो सब में हायरिंग कर सकती है. जब तक स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स नहीं करेंगी, ये ऐसे का ऐसे ही रहेगा. Am I planning to write another book? Yeah, actually, I just finalized the third book also. I was supposed to write on some other topic, but then I just recently met my publisher in Delhi. We had to sign the agreement for the second book, and then I just threw in this idea that I had for a third book, and the publisher really liked it. Um, and we are that. We are working on the third book. I'll start writing it when I go back to Canada in the summer next year. But BJP rule the maximum number of states. Yeah, they do. And in those states, you have to check the citizen to cop ratio. It is not ideal. You can check the criticism. I've always said. Before Yogi Adityanath took over UP, it was abysmal. He's improved a lot of hiring in UP. A lot of hiring in UP has improved. Winning doesn't mean the best team form matters. अरे भाई, जीतोगे नहीं तो क्या, ये क्या बात हुई? क्या है यार, तुम भी यार. I listened to your monologue about the universal moral framework and why you are a moral objectivist. How do you bridge Hume's is-ought gap using Anekantvad, or you use some other principle? I have explained this in detail in my book Nastic. If you've not bought it, please buy it. There I have explained this. So Kindle version खरीद लो अगर आप digital पढ़ते हो. But I think I have explained it in far more detail. Kushal, do you think we have to be spending more on defense and national security? Yeah, defense spending. So I have said uh, we need to increase defense spending. I have that has been my one consistent criticism of the Modi government, that they have not increased defense spending to the tune I would want them to. I don't follow political content as people either blame rich people or immigrants for all their issues. If nothing works, a small country in the MENA. I don't know. All I know is you come here and troll me. Just hiring more cops is not a solution, in my opinion. Most cops are basically gundas with a uniform, and you'll just increase that. You're wrong. I think you have a very, very, very lopsided opinion about cops. Seriously, I'm telling you, you have no idea how hard uh, being a cop in India is. Uh, yeah, please don't have such simplistic views. Like seriously, आप आओ कभी इंडिया में रहते हो तो जाओ कभी पुलिस की हालत देखो यार. I mean, please do not live under this assumption. Please don't. The police is flawed. We have corrupt cops, we have police brutality, we have all of that. We have people trying to suppress filing FIRs, all of that, but it does not change the reality that the working conditions of an average cop in India are next to abysmal. Please do not you know, please do not fall for this. Like, look at the suicide rates in cops. Am I a physicalist? No, I'm not a physicalist. Like, by physicalism, you mean that everything that exists is physical or can be basically brought down to that. I mean, I'm a materialist. I don't know if I'm a physicalist. Materialist is the right word for me. ये लो, मेरी आधी फैमिली पुलिस में है, कोई भी 12 घंटे से कम नहीं काम करता है यार. मैं आपको बोल रहा हूँ, आप यार ऐसे मत बोलो. कॉप्स की बहुत बुरी हालत होती है इस देश में, आपको आइडिया नहीं है. बहुत ही दुख की बात है ये, आप अगर ऐसे सोच रहे हो तो. Which policy discussion can we expect next from your channel? Also, what are the key bills that are lined up in the winter session? देखो, नेक्स्ट तो ये वाले के बारे में मैं सोच रहा हूँ, मैं और तुषार सोच रहे हैं बात करने को यार. आई थिंक ये बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट है. ये पता नहीं आप लोग ने ये ऑर्डर पढ़ा था क्या, ये वाला, दिस वन, ये अर्बन गवर्नेंस रिफॉर्म्स. ये बहुत जरूरी है, ये वाला, इसके ऊपर मैंने बात करनी है. आई एम गोइंग टू फोकस ऑन दिस. The way RCB plays is just different. It's the best. No. Why do you think what do you think on the nuclear sector being privatized in India? Mm, on the look of it, on the face of it, it's a good thing. I just think government tends to mess things up overall. But I'll wait and try to read more. Constitutionally, can you sue a cop in India? Obviously, you can sue the cops in India for bad policing and stuff like that. ऐसे थोड़ी ना कि आप कॉप्स को सू नहीं कर सकते. हम्म. भाई आप संगी हो, और आप क्या हो? कहाँ गए भाई कष्टन? और do you think hate India fad will pass, or as it did for Japan and then China, can we do anything about it? Is there any element of psyop in social media? Most of it is bot driven. Some of it is real resentment. It's going to be there. You just have to take it in your stride and fact check people where they are wrong. And it's beyond a point. People only pay attention to you when you're successful. Whoa, sorry, bottle gira di. Um, and I don't know. I think you have to be thick-skinned beyond a point. थोड़ा बहुत मोटी चमड़ी का बनो. Being an adult, if you are an RCB fan, you're a man child. अरे अरे क्या कर दिए? Any views on Nepal's new map on their currency, including 3 Indian districts on it? यार मेरे को एक बात बताओ. नेपालियों ने ये कर भी लिया. उनको इंडिया में आने के लिए वीजा नहीं चाहिए. हमको नेपाल जाने के लिए वीजा नहीं चाहिए. तो ये करके भी क्या उखाड़ा उन्होंने? मेरे को एक बात बताओ, सच्ची में. मेरे को ईमानदारी से बताओ, उन्होंने ये करके भी क्या उखाड़ा? ये हमारा है भाई. पूरा देश ही तेरा है ना. तू तो वैसे ही आ सकता है ये देश में काम करने के लिए. आधार भी बना सकते हैं वो लोग, अनलाइक बांग्लादेशी. तो क्यों क्यों मतलब, क्या ये सब चीजों का मतलब क्या होता है? Canada India trade talks to resume next week. Piyush Goyal in news. Any highlights you see, especially for Indian entrepreneurs? Sorry. Uh, let's see. I think what Canada India trade is going to be is more like, from the Canadian end, we are looking at more raw material supply, uranium, LPG, and stuff like that. And from the Indian end, I think they will be more like textile, stuff like that, whatever Canada can consume. I think more of it, it's more what Canada can sell to India. Canada India trade entails more of that, more than what India can sell to Canada. Canada का market तो इतना ही है ना, हमारा बहुत बड़ा market है. So I think they are going to actually be a more bigger beneficiary. Hmm. तो प्रवीण गुड पॉडकास्ट. वाह 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 वाह. What is the key source of information for you where we can keep ourselves updated specifically to such bills like urban governance that you're talking about? I mean, keep following random handles, right? um आप पीआईबी, एक्चुअली पीआईबी को थोड़ा पढ़ा करो. वो पीआईबी की जो प्रेस रिलीजेस आती है वो पढ़ा करो. बाकी अर्बन गवर्नेंस में तो आपको 2-3 थिंक टैंक थे. जैसे मैंने वो रूबिन के साथ एक उसको फॉलो करो. रूबिन अर्बन गवर्नेंस के ऊपर काफी बात करता है. उनके साथ कर सकते हो. Have you read the book Dharma Democracy by Salvatore Babones? No, I have not. Hmm, देखिए और कोई है ढंग के प्रश्न. Which are some of the right of center newspaper in English? Like, I don't know, Swarajya magazine is there. Pioneer has started, again. Pioneer पढ़ सकते हो आप. Any comment on how we can increase safety of junior doctors? Any minister का चमचा comes and beats up junior residents. बस उसके लिए तो आई थिंक प्रॉब्लम ये है कि पॉलिटिकल क्लास को थोड़ा मैच्योरिटी लानी पड़ेगी अपने अंदर. उसका कोई शॉर्ट टर्म सोल्यूशन है नहीं. हम्म, यार और तो कोई क्वेश्चन मिल नहीं रहे हैं, तो फिर बंद ही कर देते हैं. मैं देखने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ और कुछ है. डू यू थिंक इंडिया नीड्स अ सेकंड अमेंडमेंट? भाई उसको उसके बिना ही कितना किट्टा घूमता है इंडिया में. Go back to Canada. Do you think fiction is worth consuming for intellect? I mean, I don't, but a lot of people think it helps them. So I don't know. What is a good answer? Hmm, when is my next podcast with Abhijit Iyer Mitra? अरे पर तो टॉपिक तो उसको बुलाऊं, कुछ विषय होगा तो बुलाऊंगा ना. कोई टॉपिक होएगा तो ही इज ऑलवेज देयर ना. आई कैन कॉल हिम. Which food is worse, Mumbai or Canadian? Canadian. Hmm. What is your view on the youth debate formats like MO of India? Do you think they really present the diversity of Indian youth, or they end up selecting only one segment of society? यार मुझे कोई मालूम नहीं है एमओ क्या है ये. आई विल हैव टू लिटरली लुक इट अप राइट नाउ. ये क्या है भाई? यू विल हैव टू टेल मी व्हाट इज दिस. मेरे को जीरो नॉलेज है इसके बारे में. एमओ इंडिया टुडे. एमओ इंडिया टुडे. भाई ये क्या है? देखें. हम्म, मुझे नहीं मालूम ये क्या है भाई. मैंने तो बिल्कुल देखा नहीं है ये. मैंने नहीं देखा ये. ओ दिस इज लाइक, अच्छा अच्छा, वो शहजाद के मैंने क्लिप्स देखे थे कुछ तो. ओके नो आई, दैट्स लाइक यार आई डोंट नो, दे जस्ट हैंड पिक स्टूडेंट्स एंड देन दे फीड क्वेश्चंस एंड इट्स लाइक आई एम गोना गेट यू. नो दैट्स, आई एम नॉट अ फैन. इनफैक्ट समबडी हैड टोल्ड मी आई शुड गो देयर. मेरे को आई विनम्र ने बोला था मुझे जाना चाहिए उस पे. But no, no, it's not my thing. I really don't have a very high opinion on all of this. It's like an American concept. वो अमेरिका में मैंने देखा है, वो ये इंटरनेट के कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स वो एक सर्कल में लोग होते हैं, एक एक आते हैं और बहस करते हैं एक दूसरे से. माय गो टू न्यूज सोर्स एंड जर्नलिस्ट इन इंडिया. अरे एक होएगा तो ना भाई, ऐसे थोड़ी ना कि देयर इज वन जर्नलिस्ट उसी के पास जाओ सब कुछ मिलेगा तुम्हें. इतना मेरा लंबा मोनोलॉग के बाद तुमने यही मेरे से क्वेश्चन पूछा. What you call the rise of political Hinduism? Do you mean a Groiper like movement in India? No, actually, political Hinduism is actually far more nuanced version. Groiperism in India is what the trads are. That's Groiperism in India. In fact, political Hinduism is is an answer to Groiperism of India, which is tradhood. Hmm. What do you say on कुणाल कामरा आरएसएस एंड पीएसएस न्यूज? भाई क्या है यार, तुम लोगों को कुणाल कामरा से क्या ऑब्सेशन है? मतलब तुम क्यों देखते हो उसको? उसको जो टी शर्ट पहननी है पहनने दो आरएसएस के ऊपर. आज संघ में किसी को कुछ घंटा फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला. कमिश्नर एंड पीडब्ल्यूडी सिटी इंजीनियर्स हैव sorry, more powers than mayor. Corporators are faceless, powerless. Do MNC reforms address that? काफी कुछ हो रहा है, which is a good thing. I think this is a very welcome reform. In fact, this should have been the most, after the labor reforms, this should have been the one thing that we should have been very happy about. मगर हमारे देश में जो चीज मैटर करती है उसके बारे में कभी डिस्कशन तो होना ही नहीं है. हमारा देश विचित्र है. तो अभी केशव बेदी कौन है? मुझे कोई आइडिया नहीं है. कौन है भाई केशव बेदी? बताओ. मुझे कोई आइडिया नहीं है. आई एम नॉट प्रिटेंडिंग. How do we fix bad education in India in universities? Oh, I wish I had the answer to that. My answer is stop supporting RCB. मुजम्मिल और मिस्टर ग्रीडी. अब मिस्टर ग्रीडी कौन है? मुजम्मिल, आई एम अज्यूमिंग यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट सैयद मुजम्मिल, दैट पाकिस्तानी. ये क्या है? मिस्टर ग्रीडी क्या है? मुझे कोई आइडिया नहीं है. आई थिंक दिस इज मुझे फंसाने के लिए क्वेश्चन. भाई मुंबई 2020 के बाद से कुछ नहीं जीती है वैसे. उसके बाद भी इतना जीती है. Strongest argument for God, यार. Sorry, there is no strong argument for God. I'm sorry to say, there is no strong argument in favor of a God. जिसको आप लोग strong arguments बोलते हो, मुझे तो नहीं लगती वो strong arguments. So I will not be a liar and say there are some very strong arguments about God. All the arguments that I have heard about God are not strong. So if you are offended, too bad, so sad. Hmm. अजय रोटी को लेके आना फिर से टू डिस्कस जीडीपी नंबर्स. अजय को करूंगा मैं. What do you think of Charlie Kirk as a creator and the conspiracies around his death? I had no view of Charlie Kirk when he was alive. I honestly don't have any opinion after he's dead. I never consumed Charlie Kirk's content. I have no view. I feel bad for his family that he passed away. Nobody has to go through what they had to go through. But आप लोग ये सब कंज्यूम कंटेंट करते हो यार, मतलब मैं तो नहीं करता ये सब कंटेंट कंज्यूम. मैं मैं सीरियस कंटेंट क्रिएटर हूँ. मैं तो किताबें पढ़ता हूँ, न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ता हूँ. मैं ये सब यूट्यूब वीडियो ज़्यादा देखता नहीं. मैं अगर स्क्रीन पे मैं अगर रहता हूँ तो न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ लो, ये सब कर लो. आई डोंट डू ऑल ऑफ दिस. आई मीन, आई हैव नो ओपिनियन टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट ऑन चार्ली कर्क. आई हैव नो क्लू व्हाट ही यूज्ड टू डू. मैंने कैंडिस ओवंस को सुना, मेरे को बहुत हंसी आई उसको सुन के. क्या पागल औरत है, मजा आ गया. क्या अजीब अजीब बातें करती है. उसको जो इजराइल से ऑब्सेशन है, आय हाय, ऐसा प्यार उसको इजराइल से. और टकर कार्लसन के मैंने दो चार सुने. और वो निक फुएंटेस तो वाह वाह, मतलब व्हाट अ मैन. पागल है वो. बाकी हाँ, चार्ली कर्क को मैंने नहीं सुना है, तो मेरा कोई मतलब ऑनेस्टली आई एम नॉट ट्राइंग टू विगल आउट और एनीथिंग. मेरे को जेन्युइनली कुछ नहीं पता उसके बारे में. Newspaper for international issues. There is no one newspaper, boss. Like, I sometimes read The Economist, Wall Street Journal, Canadian दो तीन पढ़ लेता हूँ. It cannot be one. There is never one newspaper, unfortunately. देखो, if I know you cannot pay for every subscription, but find ways to read them behind the paywall and try to be as diverse as you can in your news consumption. Do you think the government is seriously trying to clean the Yamuna River? Yeah, actually they are. पायरेसी ठीक चीज है? नहीं. मैं तो बहुत सारी सब्सक्रिप्शंस रखता हूँ, मगर आप लोग नहीं रखते हो, इसके लिए कह रहा हूँ, जो करना है कर लो. I meant multiple. Any reliable European press. मैं इतना यूरोपियन न्यूज पढ़ता नहीं हूँ. Wanted your perspective on Canadian Sikh diaspora issue. There are some reports that Ravidasiya and Dalit Sikh communities face tension or harassment. Oh, this is a very known thing. बहुत प्रॉब्लम देते हैं खालिस्तानी उनको. बहुत प्रॉब्लम है. मगर अभी वो लोग भी खुद भी नहीं आगे आते ना, ये भी तो इशू है ना. वो खुद आएंगे तो बात बनती है ना. ओनली एंग्लोस्फियर न्यूज. आई डोंट नो यार, कभी कभी मैं बीबीसी पढ़ लेता हूँ. बाकी अभी वो उन लोगों की यूरोपियन भाषा तो मुझे आती ही नहीं है, तो वो कैसे पढ़ूं मैं. एनीवेज, चलो गाइस, आई विल रैप अप नाउ. 5 hours of अमित वर्मा देखो, अटेंशन विल गेट फिक्स्ड. यस, आई एग्री. अमित की लंबी लंबी होती हैं पॉडकास्ट है, तो वो उसके लिए काफी अटेंशन चाहिए. और वो अच्छा काम करता है. आई रियली अप्रिशिएट व्हाट ही डज. लाइक, आई हैव जेन्युइन रिस्पेक्ट फॉर अमित वर्मा. Heartfelt respect. His heart is in the right place. I don't agree with many of his theoretical frameworks, but I what I love about his work is that he genuinely makes you think. He is someone I enjoy listening to. All right, guys, we'll wrap up now. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in. For all those who tuned in on X and on YouTube. एंड अरे ये क्या लिखा, न्यू बुक रिलीज कब हो रही है, बैंगलोर आ जाना इस बार। इस बार बैंगलोर में भी कर लेंगे, देखते हैं यार। देखो, ऑल दीज थिंग्स कॉस्ट मनी यार, सो you'll have to we have to find someone who's willing to foot the bill for all of it. So we'll see. I will try to do a Bangalore book release also this time, so let's see. Pehle book to aaye, we'll do it. So yeah, guys, once again, if you can, do consider joining the membership of this podcast. That's all this podcast sustains itself on: tiny donations, monthly or one time. So whether it's UPI, Interac Canada, or memberships, do consider joining it. And that's how this podcast goes. And everybody who watches this on YouTube, do subscribe to the channel if you have not till now, and like the video, and leave a comment in the comment section. All of you, tell me in the comment section, how many of you are that kind who 80% of their consumption is 60-second news reels. I want to know. Don't lie to me, because you will not achieve anything by lying. Because if you are someone whose most consumption is 80% of it is reels, that's your problem. Try to reduce that. Wean away from real content. So please, if you can, trust me, you'll be mentally happier. You are wasting your time, most of it. So please think about supporting the Cārvāka podcast. If you're an audio listener, do leave a rating there too. And I'll try to do one more podcast tomorrow. Kal bhi ek karunga. And I'll see you guys here as always. Please take care of yourselves. Do wear a mask if you're in India, in Mumbai, Delhi, wherever there is pollution. And take care of yourselves. Bye bye.